Okay, so shalom. So listen, I'm gonna get straight cut to the dry with this one right here. The name of this message is called Self-Reliance. And I want everybody to pay very careful attention to what I have to say to you. Now, you all tune in for various reasons. Some of you tune in because you know that I give sound doctrine. Now, I'm going to say something very arrogant. I don't think that there's anybody that gives sound doctrine the way that I give it. Okay, there are very few people out here that give sound doctrine. You know why? Because they don't give doctrine according to the scriptures. See, in order for you to be practically flawless, you have to uh, obtain knowledge from a flawless writing or from a flawless source, and that flawless source is Christ. So, also, there's something that I make sure that I do. I don't really talk about things that I don't know about. Now, like I said, the young lady asked me, she said last night, she DM'd me and she asked me, was I okay? And I said, for the most part, yeah, I didn't understand. She said she thought I looked sad. I gotta admit, it was quite convincing, but nah, I'm pretty much okay. Just I'm feeling queasy. I've had sinuses on and off, believe it or not, for a few years now. So I'm actually going to decide to do something about that once and for all. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just absolutely leave meat alone from this day forward. I know I can do it because I haven't really been having much of an appetite lately because I've been so busy and all of those things. And then I say, well, hey, I need to eat something. And for real, I don't have to. My diet, it isn't horrible, by the way. It's just that, you really don't have, even if you farm getting your meats from the farm. Now, it's a lot more healthier that way, a lot more expensive, and it's a lot more healthier. But even in any event, it's still, you shouldn't overdo meat. There's a scripture in Sirach that tells you, even with meat, you should, you don't need to eat meat every day. So I think that's what's going against my sinuses and everything. Not only that, I just had, I did feel a little under the water lately, but I'm feeling a lot better now. And, last night, that was one of the issues. So, but, I'm not sad or anything. Also, there's a rumor going on that, I think, I'm not 100% sure. I believe there's a rumor that my wife left. Well, if she did, I don't know when she did it. If she's planning it, I'd like her to tell me. But, I mean, for the most part, I'm not foolish enough to leave my wife. My wife is simply not foolish enough to leave me. She's fine, trust me. I know there may be some women that probably would love to see that. I made sure I got my fluids tonight. Last night, I just started that video random. I'm talking about I pulled to the side of the road and just started the video. I used a little bit of the notes I had, but for the most part, I didn't even realize I had the music playing the whole nine, right? I just went on and started recording. But I'm not gonna, it was a rough start, and only because, like I said, sinuses was acting up and things of that nature. But trust me, I'm fine. I appreciate the young lady that was concerned about my well-being, but I would never be really in a sad mood and then record. Remember, it wasn't live. So if I had a problem with it or for whatever reason, I simply wouldn't have recorded it. I would have erased it and redid it. But look, let's get into this message real quick because also I hope nobody's going around saying that I put my hands on my wife. Because Lord knows that's not true. I've never put my hands on my wife. But I understand these slanders. These slanders are an attempt at who I am as a man. But at the end of the day, all of you will simply believe what you want to believe. Now, I don't care. If there's any man that thinks that has a problem, that thinks that that's true, all you got to do is come talk to me like a man if you think that that's true. Because that's how we're supposed to be of men of Israel, right? We should definitely not tolerate that type of stuff, that type of cowardice amongst our people. Okay? But in any event, let me just go ahead and start with the first verse. Okay? The first verse. Now, this is titled Self-Reliance. And I only need just this half hour of your time. I don't need to go into a second segment or anything. The first scripture is 2 Corinthians 3 and 5. 2 Corinthians 3 and 5. 2 Corinthians 3 and 5, and it reads, Now that we are sufficient in ourselves, not that we are sufficient in ourselves to claim anything as coming from us, but our sufficiency is from God. So our sufficiency is from Elohim. So who is Paul referring to? Well, this actually pertains to everybody. He was talking specifically about the Israelites. But at the end of the day, it pertains to everybody because nobody can do anything without Yah allowing it, or without getting the strength from Yah to complete any endeavor in our past. So what we got to understand is that you cannot claim anything that you've accomplished. See, I understand people, right? The problem with the self-glorification. But let me tell you all something, right? And I want you to really pay attention to what I have to say. Self-glorification are for weak people. I don't care, listen, you can really disagree with that all you want to. But once you go saying and bragging about all your achievements, you have to remember something, okay? There's a life force within you, okay? And sure, confidence has a lot to do with it. But at the end of the day, you're missing the point if you do not give the glory to Elohim. Now, without Yahusha, none of you can do nothing. Many of you dismiss that fact, and many of you would not like to acknowledge that, or many of you simply don't believe that, even worse. But all the milestones that you accomplish in your life, you have to understand that is of Yahushua HaMashiach. That's of God. That's of Elohim. Okay? Now, many of you are going to fall victim to this prideful way of nature, if the majority of you haven't already. And I'm telling you right now, there's a dead end to that. Okay? The next scripture that I want to read is Romans 12 and 3. And I saved the best for last. It's only 3 scriptures. It's just, I picked these 3 specific scriptures because we all know there's a ton of them, right? But some people, you have to know to make up your mind when you do things, right? If me and my wife go into the supermarket, right, I make sure before we go into that joint, right, before we even go anywhere, I make her make a list. Because if you're inside the supermarket with a female, you understand that it's never ending shopping, right? So now I take care of my whole family, right? Now, well, my wife makes money, but I mean, for the most part, I take care of my whole family, everybody. Okay, it's my house. It's not my wife's house. It's not my mother's house. It's my house, and my mother stays with her son simply because she has schizophrenia, and my mother is dangerous. I don't want to put her in an old folks home. Now, I do have another plan where I can get my peace from her, where me and my wife can get our peace from her. Which that plan, I've actually already put that plan into effect. But as of right now, until that gets moving, she's not going into any old folks home. I don't trust old folks home, and she has a very bad type of schizophrenia. She sits down at the table, she talks to multiple people, and these things of that nature. And I'm her only sibling here in Pennsylvania. Okay? So actually, I'm her only sibling. So therefore, excuse me, I'm her only child. So therefore, she has nobody else to take care of her. Her only other sibling, her sibling, the only other sibling that she has here in Philadelphia is bedridden. And I pretty much maintain her as well. So what I do is I care for my entire family. That's what I do. I take care of my peoples. You know what I'm saying? Because as family, we have to stick together. So I don't know if you've ever dealt with anybody that has a very serious case of schizophrenia. But I'm going to tell you something right now, and it can be very frustrating. Now, what has me go to why I make a lot of my videos in the car, not in my home. I don't know. I think there's lots of rumors about that too. I got kicked out my own house. My wife threw my bags on the porch, but I don't know. It's all types of stuff just floating across the internet. All types of foolishness. And as soon as that slander comes right across the social media, everybody be like, yes, man, y'all shit y'all pants. Y'all be so happy because y'all swear y'all got me. But anyway, so all of these things that we endure in life, all of these endeavors that we come across in life, we have to make sure and we have to have an understanding that none of these things are possible and none of these things are capable without the Most High. So it's extremely arrogant to take him out of the equation. And that's what a lot of you assholes do. Some of you want to tell you what you like to, let people know that you're in the newspaper all the time. You like to hold up your trophies. You like to do this. You like to do that. Okay? Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, and Kobe Bryant are three of the most arrogant athletes that I've ever seen in my life. Are they all great? Absolutely. Mike that ball. Right? I'm not going to get into the GOAT between Mike and LeBron, because the GOAT will always be, to me, whoever had the most poise, whoever had the most kill. That person will always be more dangerous than somebody who doesn't. LeBron's a great player. He's that ball. He's the top line. He's top echelon. But he doesn't have this sinister attitude that Mike had, so he can't be as great as Mike. Mike simply willed wins. Not that LeBron has never did it. I'm talking about sports. I'm tripping. But anyway, and yeah, that Super Bowl was rigged. And y'all know I fly with Brady all the way, right? But that Super Bowl was rigged. How can you tell? Because that boy Patrick Mahomes is fire, man. He was flipping and falling and throwing bullshit. Patrick Mahomes is far greater than that. And I think had he had played the top of his game, I honestly think Brady would have lost that game. But, they threw the politics in that one for sure, right? My opinion. They threw the monkey wrench in that one. But anyway, Romans 12:3, right? Romans 12:3, right? One thing about me, I don't lie. The slanderers lie. But I don't lie. Okay? Everybody that knows me knows that. Now, I'm a hypocrite. I'm a human being. I cannot be infallible. That's impossible. But is lying something that I do, even on an occasion? Not really. It's not. It's just not what I do. You understand what I'm saying? Not what I do. Okay. Romans 12:3. Romans 12:3. Let's get to it. Romans 12:3. For by the mercy, it says grace. For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned. Now, I chose this scripture because it's deep. It's a lot deeper than a lot of people think, okay? Now, tell you something, right, with this scripture right here. First of all, I don't like that word grace. I think that word grace, along with holy, along with the name Jesus, and along with other English words, because remember what I told y'all, you must apply the Hebrew to get the true understanding. And I understand why a lot of our brothers and sisters have strayed away from the scriptures. It is because of Christianity. See, Christianity was a version of the truth that was given to us by the slave. It's not that it was a version of the truth, but it was watered down. They watered down the New Testament. They made the Messiah a white, effeminate man with long hair. And then, see, by doing that, by doing this to God, all your life as a child, many of you were brought up in church. Believe it or not, I was not brought up in church. Even as a young boy, and this is the truth, even as a young boy, I didn't care much about church. First of all, my grandfather, I was raised by my grandfather. And my grandfather simply did not like church. He ain't like the pastors. He ain't like nothing about church. So my grandfather never took me to church. Now my grandmom, she actually went to church every now and then, but she really wasn't a big churchgoer either. My mother has had a serious case of schizophrenia as far back as I can remember. I used to protect my mother when I was only 13 years old because she had a schizophrenia and she was very vulnerable to the outside world. Okay? In fact, that type of illness runs in my family. I used to have an aunt that used to walk up and down the street buck freaking naked, talking to herself, looking in the sky. She got 302 so many times it don't even make any sense. But the Almighty took her in a house fire. Okay? So, but I'm going to tell you something though. Right? But you know what? Let me just get back to the scripture, right? Because it says right here. Now, that word grace, I don't like using that word grace. Okay? English is a bastardized tongue. And I'm going to tell y'all something else about English. It's sorcery. Yes, English is sorcery. So you really need to be very careful with English. It's a very dangerous language. If you read the Bible and you completely try to comprehend the Bible in the English, you will constantly make mistakes. That's the reason why a lot of the camps make mistakes, because they use the English. They stick strictly to the KJV, and they're constantly depending on the English. And they may get some type of dictionary or whatever, whatnot, but that doesn't bring out the full consciousness of the language, and bring out the full consciousness of the Hebraic perception of the Bible, or the Hebraic comprehension of the Bible. You got to remember, the Bible is actually a Hebrew book. It was written by black people, inspired by the Most High, written by black people for black people. All the people in the Old Testament were black people. And all the people in the New Testament were black people, except the Romans. I mean, I'm talking about except the opposing nations, because you had the Grecians, then you had the Romans. But before then, you had other nations that us as a people were in and out of slavery for over the last, 4,500, 5,000 years. Okay? So you need to understand this. But Romans 12:3 basically said, "For by grace, I prefer to use mercy, for by the mercy given to me, I say to everyone among you who don't think of, among you, don't think so, among all of you, but I'm just going to focus this to the Israelites. So among you Israelites, among all of you, each one of you should not think of yourself too highly. Okay? Then he ought to think of himself, but to think with a sober judgment." So in other words, you have to have a lowly, sober judgment to comprehend, okay, when you're being prideful and when you're being egotistical. And a lot of the leadership out there, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of you, I know for sure, are really cowards. I know this for a fact. Probably never see you walking anywhere alone. Ever. So, you have to understand this. And then it says, each according to his own measure of faith that Elohim has assigned them. Now, believe it or not, I'm going to try to tell you, this is very scary. Before I move on to the last verse, this is very scary. A lot of you need to understand that Christ gave us all an amount of faith. So everybody, however big or however small that your faith is, you got to understand that was given to us by Christ. Isn't that scary? So he gave the increase. He portioned out faith throughout he portions out faith throughout the entire world. Because everybody on this planet has a level of faith. Even the 1%. Even the demons have faith, and they are petrified. So we have to understand the importance of that. All right, now, let's close this out, man. And I saved the best for last. Psalms 131. And I don't know whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4. I don't know. I'm just going to start from the top. I don't know how many verses I'm actually going to read here. But it's not going to be a lot. It's only going to be like 2 or 3 of them. Psalms 139. I'm starting from the top. Listen very carefully. This is the best one right here. A Psalm of David. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar off. Y'all gotta excuse my voice. All right. So David says, O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar off. You search out my path and my lying down are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it all together. All right, so a lot of people, y'all like, what's so? Don't let that scripture go over your head. A lot of you people out there that's doing wickedness, you think that the Almighty doesn't know. Now, I want everybody else to pay attention out here to what I'm about to say to you. Because people, I hate when a lot of you Negroes, now the heathen, before I'm going to tell you this, my people, I want y'all to know this. I'm supposed to judge within the gates. I'm not supposed to worry about the heathen. Now, and I will say that we are not worse than the heathen at this. The heathen are horrible, okay, with thinking they know everything. They are the worst, especially the Caucasians. They are the worst at that. The Caucasians, you ever try to speak to have a debate with one of them? If you're not another Caucasian, especially if you're black, they will talk down on you like you don't know what you're talking about. But when they see, and then when they really see, first of all, I've never came across anybody, and I'm just telling the truth. You can take this as arrogance, but I'm just being honest. I've never came anybody that can bang with me on a level of wisdom. I'm not talking about knowledge of history. I'm not talking about scientific knowledge. I'm not talking about just current events. There's people that'll blow me out the water with current events. I don't care about current events, even though I actually do a pretty good job with keeping up, but not so like you all. Not in fear. Not in, oh my God, that happened. Not like that. Just in because I'm in tune with what's going on, because things are unraveling according to Revelations. That's why I'm in tune with that. But yeah, I know you got a lot of history scholars out here. They can probably go into all of this history and tell you about this battle, the battle of the Israelites, that. I don't give a shit about none of that. That doesn't mean anything. And it has nothing to do with salvation. So you can bring out your piles and piles of mystery books. The scripture says, do not acquire too many books. You need the Bible. You need the scripture. That's not pertaining when it says, when the scriptures say, when I believe Solomon said it, when he said, it's not good to acquire too many books. It's not good to acquire too many books. He's not talking about books relating to the scriptures. You can read as many scriptures as you want to, whether it be the law scrolls, whether it be the Apocrypha, whether it be some of the, if it's congruent with the scriptures, that's not what Solomon is talking about. He's talking about all of these other books. There would be other books written by heathens, influences, outside influences. You're not supposed to accumulate too much of that. That's why that book I showed y'all last night, like, look, listen, you go ahead and get into it. It's an interesting book, but, I'm not advising people to accumulate too many outside books other than the scriptures. So basically what this is. Let me read the scripture again, because I know a lot of people forgot the scripture already. I don't got much time left. It says, "O Lord, you have selected me. You have searched me and have known me. You know when I sit down and when Yah knows when you go to sleep and when you awake in the morning." Then it says, "You discern my thoughts from afar off." The Most High knows your thoughts from afar off. So listen very carefully. I'm done with that. Listen very carefully. The basis of that verse is, there's nothing that you do that Yah doesn't know about. Now listen to me, because this is going to make a lot of you mad. You got to be a stupid ass nigga. No matter what your rank is in any congregation, no matter who you are, whether you walk the streets, whether you all the way up into the politicians, you got to be a dumb, stupid ass individual person if you think that you're doing wickedness to somebody and you think you're going to get away with it. If anybody out there is doing anybody wicked, underhandedly sneaking. If you some cat and you banging some other brother, one of your brother's wife, if you a woman and you out there and and you trying to maliciously take another woman's husband, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, the woman is plural and feminine, and the wife is plural and feminine. The husband is masculine and singular. But that polygamy, it has to be done properly. I don't think it's something that you just go and join together and say, hey, let's just have a polygamy relationship. That's not how that works. Okay. But in any event, if you're out there and you're doing wickedness and you are thinking and you're so stupid and so foolish within your heart to say, what I'm doing, certainly I will get away with it, then there is no fear of God. How could you be opening up the Bible? How can anybody open up the Bible? Anybody? How dare you open up the scriptures without fear of Elohim? The lake of fire is hot. Hot, hot. Shalom.